Imagine this. It's 10 years in the future, you're using big and advanced words in English, and the best part is you didn't have to sit at your desk for 2 hours every day to study long lists of English vocabulary. But how did you do it? Hi, I'm Izzy from English with Izzy, your trusted B2 First and C1 Advanced Cambridge exam preparation teacher and also advanced English teacher. And welcome back to another video on English with Izzy. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you my absolute favorite way to learn vocabulary. I personally do this when I'm learning Spanish. I recommend that my students do it when they're learning English. And the best part is it's a really easy way to incorporate learning into your day-to-day life without studying. Now, let's be honest. Our ability to concentrate is decreasing whilst our need for English is increasing. So what can we do about that? I'm going to show you how. So how can I learn vocabulary without studying, you may ask? And the answer is active learning. But Izzy, what is active learning? Well, if we put it simply, it's basically showing interest and curiosity in English. And at every chance you get, instead of just listening to a word, if there's a word that you don't understand, go the extra mile and look it up. I'm going to show you how I do it. So imagine, for example, you're at home, you're on the sofa watching Netflix. Let's say we're watching The Good Doctor.
Leah, do you know what a lap sponge is?
Now, for copyright reasons, I can't record Netflix on my screen, but I've got the subtitles here. Say I'm watching it and the word shushing comes up, and I think, what on earth does shushing mean? I'm going to go to my dictionary. Let's go to Cambridge Dictionary for a trusted dictionary, and I'm going to put shush. Shush. Ah, look, shush already comes up as a verb. Shush, we use to tell somebody to be quiet. Now, what's the most important thing to do? Not just look up the word, but write it down in your English notebook. So I'm going to go to my beautiful English notebook here, and I'm going to write to shush. To tell someone to be quiet. But writing the meaning is not enough because we're not going to remember it, right? It's going to go in one ear and out the other. So what's the next step we can do? Step number 2 is look up lots of examples and write them down too. And what's my new favorite tool to use this? You guessed it, ChatGPT. So I might say, give me 10 examples of the verb shush in a sentence for me to understand how to use the word in context. She had to shush her noisy children during the movie. The librarian asked the students to shush when they started talking loudly. All right, so now I'm reading lots more examples and it's becoming clear to me what this word really means, right? So let me go back to my list here, and now I've got some examples. So what are we going to do? We're going to be curious. We're going to write down the word, write down the definition, and if we can, write down some examples. Let's take a look at another situation. You might not be a huge fan of Netflix, although let's be honest, we all like to binge watch a series here and there. Say you're reading an article on The Guardian. Now, if you're looking to expand your advanced vocabulary and also stay up to date with the news, I really recommend The Guardian as a trusted source of news. Plus, in the Cambridge First, Cambridge Advanced, and Cambridge Proficiency exams, lots of the texts in the reading papers are adapted from Guardian articles. So it's a great style of writing for you to get used to. Let's have a look here. Let's go to culture, for example. So today we read in the news that Matthew Perry passed away, and as a huge Friends fan, that was tragic news to hear. So let's say I want to learn more about what happened. I can go to the article. And wait, there are already some words here in the title that I don't understand. Let's have a look at Lothario, which is actually a new word for me. So this actually works for native speakers as well. I'm going to copy the word, pop it here into my dictionary. What does Lothario mean? Okay, maybe this wasn't the best example for a YouTube video, so we're going to look for another word. Let's scroll down a little bit, shall we? Chandler Bing, blah, blah, blah. The actor's bold words were true. What does bold mean? What's this adjective? Let's go back to our dictionary. Bold, not frightened of danger. Okay, can also mean strong in color or shape or very noticeable. So what are we going to do? Write it down. Let's go here. Bold. Strong in color or not frightened of danger. Let's go back to our friend ChatGPT for some more examples. So give me 10 sentences that use the word bold written in a B2 level of English. Let's say I'm tired. I don't want them to write super advanced examples. So that way, at least the sentences are a little bit easier to understand. And the thing that's really good about doing this, about looking up lots of examples, is you see the context that we use these words in, right? So now we know a decision can be bold. We know that colors can be bold. We know that a headline in an article can be bold. We know that a marketing campaign can be bold. And I think this is one of the biggest mistakes that students make when they're learning vocabulary, because if you just write down a word and write down the definition, you're not actually learning how to use the word, right? Because we're not learning how to use the word in context. So writing examples or writing collocations that use words is probably the best thing that you can do to really understand the meaning of words, and more importantly, for you to start using them yourselves. So we looked at an example with an article, we looked at an example with YouTube. Maybe you're more of a fan of scrolling through Instagram when you're sitting on the bog. There is no limit to learning, and I'm going to show you how even on Instagram you can learn vocabulary just with a little bit of curiosity and active learning. So let's have a look at my Instagram page for an example. So I'm seeing in the comments, lots of people use the word hideous. Don't worry, they're not calling me really ugly. But in this video, I asked people for an example of an extreme adjective that means really ugly. And most students answered correctly and they wrote the word hideous. But this might have been a new word for you, right? So just to double check, we're going to look up the definition of the word. Hideous. Hideous means extremely ugly or bad. So let's pop it in our notebook. Now, I know this is simply a PDF that I downloaded online, but if you're really serious about learning English vocabulary, I highly recommend buying an English notebook, one that's pretty, one that comes in your favorite color, maybe a leather-bound notebook so it feels kind of fancy and English feels like something that you're really ready to dive into. And keep it close by. Maybe keep it on your coffee table in the living room, maybe on your bedside table, so that when you are on your phone, it's not difficult to take notes. So we've got the word hideous, which means extremely ugly. But again, maybe you're thinking, oh, this is a new word. I feel kind of uncomfortable using it. I've never spoken it, so I'm a bit scared to use it. Let's read lots more examples. So I'm going to be a bit lazy. I'm going to copy this and just change the word. Hideous. Here we go. The painting was hideous. Her haircut looked hideous. The architecture was hideous. The accident left the park in a hideous state. All right, I'm starting to see all of the examples or all of the situations that we can use this word in, right? And understanding how to use words in context is really going to help me use them in the future. Now you might be thinking, all right, Izzy, you're a native speaker. Of course, English is easy for you. Who are you to tell me how to learn English? Well, mucha gente no sabe eso, pero llevo 13 años aprendiendo español. He llorado, he estudiado, he hecho un grado universitario, estudié español en bachillerato y ahora estoy viviendo en España. So trust me, I understand the frustration and I understand how much effort goes into learning a new language. And honestly, the time in my life that my Spanish really grew more than any other time in my life, more than when I studied a degree in Spanish, was when I moved to Spain and I lived with a Spanish person. And why? Because every day there were words that I didn't understand. And I asked people, I said, hey, what does this word mean? What does this word mean? How can I use this word that you just used? Because I'm really curious when it comes to new languages, right? And because I've got a lot of South American friends now, and I'm hearing that slang is very different in different South American countries, I've realized that it's a great way for me to really understand different types of Spanish in detail, But why? Because I'm curious. It's also very easy for people to move to a country, to live there for 20 years, and end up not learning the language because of lack of curiosity, because they don't necessarily integrate with people because they don't have to. And let me tell you, you don't have to move to a country. You also don't have to go to English lessons for years and years, although if you take them seriously, they really will help you. The most important thing that's going to help you learning English, and especially learning vocabulary, is being interested and being curious. If you can learn a couple of new words like this every day by reading things that you already read or by watching things that you already watch, doing so in a way that motivates you is going to help you improve much faster than you ever realized was possible. Anyway, I think it's time to bring this video to an end. So I just wanted to remind you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, press that like button, because that way I know which videos you guys enjoy, which ones to make less of, which ones to make more of. And if you are preparing for a Cambridge English exam, I've got lots of free resources down below. So check out the video description box, because I promise you I will not disappoint you. Anyway, that's it for today, folks. So don't forget, stay curious, stay learning.